All right, so I'm curious because you got married at 30, and one of the things about these long-term relationships is that you change over time, right? And when you meet someone at 17 and you manage to stick together from there to 30, you make it through your 20s, but you're not the same person when you get married at 30 than as you were when you met at 17.
100% correct.
So before I even get there, like, did you go to the same college, different colleges? What was that college age experience like for you as a couple?
So for us as a couple, we actually went to the same school, East Carolina University in Greenville.
R. Shout out to the Pirates.
Yes.
Okay.
Go Pirates.
But I definitely got some homies who graduated from ECU, so it's definitely nothing but love. Well, shout out to G Vegas. So you both went to ECU. Okay. What did you study?
I studied computer science. He did nursing.
Computer science and nursing. So you both kind of like science nerds, kind of like...
Kind of, sort of. I'm more so techie.
Techie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious, ECU is known as, let's say, school where you can have a good time. All right.
A party school.
It is definitely, you said it, so it's your institution. Feel free to frame it how
That's what they say.
It's definitely known as one of these schools where you're going to have a good time. What were some of those challenges, I'm curious, just looking back, maybe could have made y'all both go separate ways, but ultimately you didn't?
For me, I've always been not big on like parties. Even though I went to ECU, maybe my freshman year, sophomore year, I may have went to a few parties, but I've never been the person to party. I've always just been chill. Come to the house if you want to, watch a good movie or something like that. So for me, we're yin and yang. So we kind of balance each other out. He may party, I may chill at the house, which is cool.
Okay. Were you sober at ECU?
Yes.
Okay.
Sober, always.
Always sober. Not like always sober meaning never been drunk, or always sober like what does that mean exactly?
Always sober as in I do not drink at all.
Okay.
Never have.
More to learn here. You're at ECU. He's a bit of a outgoing personality, likes to enjoy himself in that respect, but you on the other hand, not as much. I'm curious, like from a relationships dynamics, like you meet at that early age and you mature to your early 20s, and you both been with each other from high school going to the same school. A lot of times, especially in North Carolina, when you've been together already for that long a period, from say 17 and then you graduate college, people are like, why ain't you married? Like, what's going on? So I'm curious, did you all have any like outside pressure or any thoughts at that, say, graduating college age to get married at that time period?
Of course, it's always going to be pressure, whereas what are you waiting for? Why aren't you married yet? Like, are y'all going to get married? It's always that question. And for us, we are big on it's going to happen at the right timing. We wasn't going to let anybody rush us. We wasn't going to feel the pressure of, because everyone is doing it, we have to do it as well. Because oftentimes when you rush into something, that's when you start to fail. Not saying that we were going to fail, but everything happens at the right timing.
What about, say, being together for 5 years, young 20s, like why wasn't that the right time for you personally?
For me personally, even at 22, being on my own, having my own job, making my own money, at the end of the day, I'm still a child. I'm still learning. So for me, I wasn't ready to, quote unquote, get married at that time because I'm still learning, fresh out of college. He's still learning, fresh out of college. And it's one of those things where we both are still learning. So why complicate things and try to rush it when we're not ready?
Understandably so. Did you live together?
No.
So you stayed in separate residences until you got married or until you got engaged?
Until we got engaged. That's when we bought our house.
Okay. I think that is an underrated move that people should do more often in terms of not moving in together until at least there's some sort of intent to get married.
Yeah, that was a big proponent for me because even I used to always say, I'm not going to live with a guy who's not either my brother or my dad and my husband. Those three components. So if we're engaged, that means we're on the path to becoming husband and wife. So we can start looking to live together.
Yeah, I think I know. I think I've experienced that mistake of, say, living with a significant other where when you didn't have like an intention to do anything long term, and I've also had friends who've done the same, and I've also with my wife, we did more so what you're saying. Like we definitely didn't live together until actually we got married. So I do think, just in retrospect, being able to live separately until there's some intent goes a long way in maintaining that relationship over time versus rushing into things and doing things out of what might be convenience ultimately, because life is tough, and it's more convenient to have or share those responsibilities even when you aren't married to the other person.
Right, I agree. And nothing wrong if that's the path that you choose. But for me, that was the path that I wanted to take, to live separate.
Okay. From a career standpoint, you say you were more on the tech side. What type of I know you're a software developer. Like, what does that even mean? Software developer.
Oh man, you can do so much with that career. Side note, you should do that if you're looking for a career and you're undecided. Software development. But
what about if you're transitioning, maybe like an adult looking for a second or third career? Would it be attainable to pivot into software development? Is that attainable?
Yes, because you can do so much. Software development is the hierarchy. You can do web development. You can do app development. You can even do what I do, which is more so looking at data. So for me, I don't do a lot of coding. The coding language that I use is SQL development. So I'm looking at data all day, running reports, and pretty much like data analysis.
Word.
But you can do a plethora of things with that degree.
Okay. Word. I guess, like, when you say you look at data, like, can you speak a little bit more about what you do with the data after you look at it? Like, what is it like? Give me a little bit of context as to what that means. Look at data.
So we may get a requirement and it tells us they want a specific report on the data that we pretty much ingest. So they may want to report and say, during annual enrollment, how many participants enrolled in the plan, or how many participants migrated from this plan, or based on this life event. Life event meaning you got married, you had a child, something of that nature. Give me that type of report with the data that I have.
Okay, very interesting. I guess, were you always into that techie stuff growing up, or like how did you even fall into this sort of path?
The software development was because I chose to go to ECU and they didn't have computer engineering. That's what I originally wanted to do. But computer engineering, that's more on the hardware side. So when I went to ECU, they didn't have a program for that. So I said, well, I can just do computer science, still dealing with computers, and I can do on the software side instead of the hardware.
Okay. I guess, what is it about software development? You seem pretty like enthusiastic about it, like, and people should do it. Like, why are you adamant that it's something that people should do?
Because it's one of those careers where you're going to always have a job. Even if you temporarily have a layoff, God forbid, you can still find something to do within that career path if you wanted to. Or you can pivot and do something different with the degree. You may spend 10 years of being a web designer, and you may want to say, okay, now I want to pivot and do something different. You have that ability to do so. And then technology is always changing. So you can go get a certificate and you're good.
I think that's important for people to hear too. Like, what are some of those certificates that maybe they should aim for if they were interested in trying to get into that sort of path?
It just depends on what you want to do. Because if you want to do like data analytics, you can look into like some AWS programs. It's web service cloud. And cloud is starting to be one of the big areas in tech right now, especially with data. Everything's in the cloud. If you have an iPhone, you have iCloud. It's in the cloud. And then you can also take a look at different, if you want to do web design, get some web design. I think